So I recently went to Colorado to visit some family, and one of the days I had planned a hike. And on that hike I made one tiny mistake that put me into a really dangerous situation, so I want to share that story with you in this video. So the hike I was planning to do in Colorado was going to be by myself because everyone I was visiting was either at work or at school that day. So I was feeling pretty nervous to begin with, so I wanted to pick a hike that wasn't too far away from where I was staying. It didn't go way up in elevation. It was going to be low mileage, and I think I found the perfect hike. I found Twin Lakes on one of my hiking apps, and I was just going to do a trail that kind of went around the lake. I was going to go a couple miles in, turn around, and then go a couple miles back to my car. And this trailhead was only maybe like 25 minutes away from where I was staying, so I thought it was perfect. I packed my bags, get all my stuff together, and I head to the trailhead. A family member had let me borrow a car while I was in Colorado, so I hopped in and I drove to Twin Lakes, Colorado. I sat in the car for a while, just kind of like looking at the scenery, thinking about the hike, getting all my gear together. I packed my whole backpack and I put it on the passenger seat of the car. So I finally get out of the car, close the door, walk around to the passenger seat, go to open the door, and the car is locked. I locked myself out of the car. And so what did I have with me? I had my Melanzana sweatshirt on, I had a pair of sunglasses in my hands, and that was it. I didn't have my phone, I didn't have any layers. It was like less than 30 degrees. It was freezing cold, and I didn't see anything around. There was one other car in the parking lot, but there was no signs of hikers anywhere. I didn't see any buildings or like neighborhoods or houses, or I didn't see a single like sign of civilization. So I started to panic. After like trying the car door a million times and finally realizing that I was not going to get back in the car to get my phone, to get my layers, to get anything, I had no choice but to just stand on the side of the road and start flailing. Alright, I think my camera's getting soaked, so let's finish this inside. Real quick, a fun fact about my Colorado trip, I went to 2 coffee shops and neither of them had iced coffee. So is it just like a New England thing that we like iced coffee in the winter? Alright, so at this point I was on the side of the road in Twin Lakes, Colorado, and I needed to start waving to cars coming by to tell them that I need help. But it's not a very busy road. I think I was seeing maybe one car every 5 minutes, and I just felt so awkward standing in the middle of nowhere waving to cars as they came by. And I think the first few cars that came by thought I was being friendly because a couple of them waved back, and I just felt so awkward. If you watched my AT vlogs, the first time I ever tried to hitchhike, I said I could physically like not put my thumb in the air. Alright, so I thought the idea of hitchhiking would be super cool. And we got to the road and I just like physically could not put my thumb up. For some reason I just felt so uncomfortable. It was so weird. I didn't like it. Like, I couldn't just like stand in that parking lot forever. Like I knew I had to get myself out of the situation somehow. About like 10 to 15 minutes later, and about like 5 or 6 cars that came by and didn't stop, I had one pickup truck go by me and I waved and he kept on going, but I think he realized after the fact that I needed help because I saw him way down the road turn around and come back, and I was so happy. So he pulled in, he's like, "Do you need help?" And I was like, "I locked myself out of the car. Can I use your phone to call my brother?" Because I have 4 phone numbers memorized: my mom, my dad, my brother, and my husband. And I was visiting my brother, so I was like, that's perfect. He's working from home, he's got his phone right next to him, I'm gonna call him, he's gonna answer, he's gonna come get me, and that's it. He probably knows where the spare key is, and everything will be all good. I called my brother 3 times and he didn't answer. I left a voicemail, I left a text, I could not get a hold of him. Meanwhile, this guy's just kind of looking at me the whole time. He must have been in his 80s, and I just felt really helpless. So he asked where my brother lived, and I told him the town. And this guy said he was going to a dentist appointment in that area, and he would drive me to my brother's house if I wanted to. I felt like I only had a couple seconds to make up my mind, because I could either get in the car with this old man. It was like a really beat up old pickup truck, and I was just by myself in the middle of Colorado. I didn't even know exactly where my brother lived in this town. I just knew he lived there. I didn't have his address on my phone because that's how I've been getting to and from his house. So I could either get in the car with this man, or I could go right back to the beginning and stand in the parking lot and start waving down cars. So I got in the car with Bob, and he drove me the 25 minutes back to the town. We're getting closer to the town, and I'm starting to freak out. I'm like, I just don't know what exact house my brother's is, because I've been getting to and from his house with my GPS, and I didn't really have his address or his exact location saved, because technology always comes in handy, but you realize as soon as you don't have the technology anymore, you're just kind of shit out of luck. So as soon as we get into the town and I tell Bob, you can just pull over here and let me out, this is fine, I'll find my way back, my brother calls Bob's phone and everything is all good. I tell my brother, I'm like, hey, I'm in your town, I'm at this Christmas tree farm, come get me. I'm scared. Apparently Tim was in the shower the first 3 times I called him, and then he tried to call me back, but as Bob and I were driving down the road in Colorado, there was no service, so he couldn't get a hold of me. So he called back at the perfect time. I get out of Bob's car, I thank him, I'm so grateful, he was so nice. We chatted the whole way back. The whole 25-minute car ride. And so Tim picked me up at the Christmas tree farm, drove me back to Twin Lakes because the spare key was underneath the car the whole time. I don't know if I ever would have figured that out on my own. That was just like such a scary moment for me. Just like being so helpless, being locked out of the car, not having anything, being cold, having to rely on this old man who I don't know anything about to drive me to my brother's house, which I didn't even know where it was. Just like a whole combination of things just really freaked me out. And to this day, it's about a week later, I have no idea how I got locked out of that car. I don't know why it would have locked itself. It was an older car than what I'm used to, but still, I have no idea what happened. But I will never put myself into a situation where I can lock myself out of my car again, especially at a trailhead in the middle of nowhere in a city that I am completely unfamiliar with. I learned my lesson, and hopefully someone watching this will keep that in mind too, next time they're by themselves in the middle of nowhere. Keep the key on you. Now, it was my intention the whole time to vlog this hike because it was my first time hiking in Colorado and I was really excited. So I have a little bit of footage from me sitting in the car before I got locked out of it, which is kind of funny. And after my brother ended up driving me back to the trailhead, I did end up going on the hike. I did cut it short just because of a couple things you'll see. So I have some vlog footage from the hike, so enjoy that. Now that I'm editing this video, did you just hear the car lock as soon as I turned the car off? I just noticed that. I'll play it again for you. Alright, I am at a trailhead in Twin Lakes, Colorado, and I can see a sign for the Colorado Trail. So I'm pretty excited to step foot on the Colorado Trail and to walk around. It's cool seeing all these mountains. I'm assuming some of them are 14,000 footers, 14ers. I gotta get used to the lingo. I'm ready to do a little hike. I picked something with no elevation or like very minimal elevation just because I'm so unfamiliar with this area. And I did pick up some like light traction on the way here. Yeah, this is gonna be cool. Can't wait to show you.
Much later.
For my first hike ever in Colorado, I have to say that this is pretty stunning. I walked down to Twin Lakes and there's a lot of snow-covered mountains in the background. This place is so gorgeous, peaceful. My hike today is just kind of walking along this lake, so it's a really cool sight. My original plan was to hike along this lake for 3 miles and then turn around and go back to my car, so it would have been a 6-mile hike, but I just hit 1 mile on my watch and I'm turning around. Right now I'm hiking at over 9,000 feet and I think that's a little tough for me because I'm from New Hampshire. I live at like 600 feet and the most I've climbed are 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 footers, and so it's a big difference. I didn't think I would feel it this much, but I'm out of breath. Gonna have a couple snacks, chug some electrolytes, and then go back to my car. But just like stare at this lake and the mountains the whole time. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the sun is really bright today, which is cool. And I have this snack right now. It's an Uncrustable, but it's got like turkey and cheese inside. So this is a good trail lunch right now. I've never been so beat after a 2-mile hike before, but it was really pretty. I'm glad I did it. Got to see the Colorado Trail, even if it was just like a little segment. But yeah, this time difference, elevation difference, lack of my normal coffee intake, I think it's all catching up to me. Maybe haven't gotten enough sleep. Oof, I am wiped. Now next time I go to Colorado, I hope it's in the summer and I hope I can hike my first 14er, so be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do some winter hikes in New Hampshire and I will see you next week. Bye.